This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by dazzling Darren Barker over Zoom. Darren, it's been a while, so how are you? How are you keeping?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm well. Not much to report other than Chelsea are the Champions League winners, which I'm over the moon about. Nothing, yeah, not much to report really. I just had a nice, relaxed morning this morning. I've been listening to music, chilling out. Yeah.
Darren, obviously we spoke yesterday.
Later.
They said you went to see Joe Calzaghe. How's Joe? How did you enjoy your day?
Joe's well. Joe's good. He's doing really well. I drove up there. We played 18 holes in the valleys, Batti. So thank God we got a buggy, because honestly the hills are like that. But it was good. Yeah, good to see Joe. I speak to him all the time. We got some exciting stuff going on that will become apparent soon. But just, a fair bit of planning going on, etc. But yeah, Joe's ready to sort of step out of the wilderness. He's not been seen or heard of for quite a while. And we've got some exciting plans. So yeah, hopefully something will be announced in the coming weeks.
It's interesting you mentioned that about Joe, Darren, because he's right in what you say, Joe. He certainly, since he retired from boxing, he hasn't been out in the public limelight. He's just kept himself to himself. People, the horses for courses, everybody's different. But in Joe's case, why do you think he preferred that type of style, that type of life?
He had a spotlight shined on him for an awful long time. And Joe's a very private man. He don't have many mates. He keeps everyone really close. He's a very private person. But I think as time's gone on, he just wants to, Joe financially is in a very good place. He's earned lots of money. But I think now, as time's gone on, he just wants a bit of structure in his life, and he wants to, there's a lot of questions he wants to ask about the sport, and there's a lot of people he wants to meet, not necessarily boxers, and find out what it is that makes them tick, made them so special. And I just think he just wants to get busy again now. And he's just he's a special person, Joe. He's a legend. He's a great man, and I hope through what we've got going on in the future, his personality and people will get to know him better than they already do.
It's good to hear. I'm looking forward to the announcement. Hopefully, Boxing Social will get that exclusive, Darren.
Yeah, well, yeah,
You can speak to Rob Tevitt about that, mate. Moving forward to obviously some boxing talk. We had the Matchroom Fight Camp shows announced on Monday, so just want to kind of work through them and a few other topics. Start off with somebody you know well, Conor Benn, headlining the first event against Adrian Granados. Just your thoughts on this fight. Some people are questioning whether it's a step up or a slight step up or maybe a bit of a sideways move on the back of Sammy Vargas. What do you make of it, Darren?
It's going to be a good fight. Conor Benn's not in a bad fight, unless they get finished really early, like the Samuel Vargas fight did. He's explosive, he's exciting, but you've got to remember he's a work in progress. He's learning on the job. One of the most improved fighters in this country. You'd have to say, whether you like him or you don't, you have to say he's one of the most improved. And yeah, I think Granados is a tough opponent, an opponent that I do think Ben will beat and should beat. And then I think you can start looking at eliminators, final eliminators, and big title shots. But I think you have to remember, though he's well improved, he is still learning. But he's very exciting, and he's definitely someone that I really enjoy watching. There's also that vulnerability with Conor that we see against Payno. I know he's improved since Payno, getting dropped numerous times, even the return wasn't plain sailing. There's that vulnerability, but that makes him exciting. He can knock you out, and he can be hurt, as you've seen, and that drama is what makes boxing so good. So I'm a fan of Conor as well. You know, off camera, I'm not saying it's a bravado or anything. He just gets that little bit of fire in him when the camera's in front of him, and he tells the story in that manner, the Ben manner. But off camera, he's a very endearing young man. You know, he's I wouldn't say, I think his insecurity is probably fading slightly. I think he's starting to believe in himself a bit, but you know, going back a little while, you know, he was quite insecure, and he'd ask a lot of questions about boxing and crowds and the future, and I found it endearing. But he's I'm proud of him. I'm proud of how he's progressed and what he's become, and I'm sure though he's thousands of miles away from not just his dad, the rest of his family, they must be so proud of him. And the Conor Ben journey continues.
Darren, I think he's right in what you said. He has become one of the most improved fighters, certainly over his last couple of years, and just going back from his pro debut. But do you think that first round stoppage victory against Sammy Vargas has ended up being a bit of a negative for him because people are wanting to see him step up against more recognised opposition, maybe a little bit sooner than what might be wise for him, simply because of a lack of experience behind him?
Yes and no. I think there's a lot of elite level fighters, or just below, gatekeepers if you want, that will watch it and think, yes, wow, he can punch. Wow, he's ferocious, and he gives it everything. But also, they may look at it and say there's vulnerabilities. And elite level fighters, top level fighters, will always think, whether they do or not, they will believe that they can expose these fighters. So it's risk reward. I think one thing with Conor Ben is he puts bums on seats. He has a massive following. People love to watch him for all the reasons above that I've said. So that's also appealing for fighters, for these big fighters. The fact that they will be on a big show against a big British star I think will entice a lot of fighters that potentially are chasing bigger things.
Darren, before we move on and through the rest of the show, for the first show, just want to get your thoughts on his little interaction with Florian Marku. What did you make of that video?
Just two young fighters wanting to prove they're better, wanting to prove their worth, and that's healthy. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. There was no pushing, no shoving, just both men. You know, Marku making the case that Conor wouldn't be where he is if it wasn't for his dad. That may be the case early on in his career, but he's done. We're gonna have a little visitor. Can hear her.
I see Anna, Daddy.
Oh, did ya?
Yeah.
Okay. Daddy's doing some work. Do you want to go upstairs and sing along to Elsa again? And I'll come up and I'll dance with you in a minute. Go on, go upstairs, darling. I'll see you in a minute. God, Daddy got to work. Daddy got to work.
I want the John to go there too.
Well, come on, sit here then. Come here. Right, where was I? Oh, yeah, with Marku. Yeah, I think it's it was healthy. Come here, darling. Sit with Daddy now. Yeah, it was healthy. You know, they're both desperate to prove that they're number one. And look, Marku at this stage has to try and talk himself into a fight with Conor because he's not at that level yet. Don't get me wrong, it's a fight I'd like to see. It would bang out a big arena, wouldn't it? That's for sure. Especially with the fact that Florian Marku, you know, he has a massive Albanian support fan base, and no doubt that when you look at the two stylistically, I think it's a great fight. But I think it was just a case of Conor Ben saying, look, you know, you do what I've done. You prove yourself. I've proved myself. I'm where I am, chasing for, you know, I'm chasing eliminated world titles. You're not quite there yet. But I don't blame Marku for doing what he's done.
Just to stick with that gym, the Matchroom gym, just want to go back to another fight which happened recently. Martin Ward is unsuccessful out in Las Vegas, somebody you know well. What did you make of Martin's unfortunate defeat, his stoppage defeat to Fuzile?
Oh, gutted. You know, I know how much it meant to Martin and how much he wanted it and how much he you know, believed his destiny was to win a world title. He ticked boxes, getting the opportunity and fighting in America. But obviously the win was the most important thing. You know, suffered an injury, but, you know, he was unfortunately second best in the contest. Started, you know, he had patches, started all right. I believe Martin can box better than that, but I think that fight probably come a few years too late for Martin. We've seen how good Martin can be. You know, he was on the brink of beating Tennyson. But yeah, I'm gutted for Martin. I've been so close to him and his family for years. Obviously boxed at the Repton. My brother boxed his brother, Bobby. I love the Wards to pieces, and I will support and stand by anything that Martin chooses to do moving forward.
Have you spoken to him at all since, Darren?
I haven't. Just text. I didn't want to, you know, jump on him, and just want to let the dust settle and let him compose and gather his own thoughts before, you know, everyone starts jumping on him. But, you know, obviously sent him my best and my well wishes.
Somebody else in the gym who's kind of, his name's coming up again, John Ryder. He was going to face Morrell for the regular title, and that's just fallen through now. But now John's name's being mentioned for a potential Dimitri Bivol bout up at 175. And I've also seen some rumours that he might be in there with some talks with Lerone Richards for the European title at 168. Just your thoughts on either of those, if either of them were to come off for John?
The Morrell one was a nightmare. He had, I think John was his mandatory, I believe. And he went down the road of picking a voluntary challenger, which I think there may be a legal dispute going on. Don't quote me or hold me to that, but I think there's something, you know, they're not happy. Team Ryder's not happy, and understandably so. The Bivol fight, I think Craig Richards done well, whether Bivol had an off night or not. You can say what you want, but there was vulnerability shown, and Craig Richards, I wouldn't say exposed him, but exposed some weaknesses that Craig might have. I think John, though he come up from middleweight, is a different animal at light heavyweight. He's a beast. You know, Dan Lawrence is from Perform 365. His strength conditioner just says he's an animal. The numbers that he pushes is crazy, and the strength that he's shown. But obviously, when you drop in weight, your strength depletes. So if he's to stay at the same, you know, if he's not had to bring much down, he'd be a beast. He'd be an animal. I've always said John deserves all the luck in the world. I've got so much respect for John. I've told the story many a time. I remember fighting Martinez. I'm out in Canada, and I had this sparring lined up, southpaw sparring lined up with Adam Troupis. He cancelled at last minute. We were left with no southpaw sparring. So we rang John up and said, John, you've got to get out to Niagara and do some sparring with us. And I mean, you got to bear in mind, I was jet lagged for about a week. John Ryder flew over from London into Toronto, got in a car, didn't even go to the hotel, went straight to the gym and did 10 rounds with me. And I thought, fuck me, you're hard as nails. Sorry, Don. You're hard as nails. And I just think he's paid his dues. And I really want to see John fight for a world title. That leads me on to, look, if there is no other options and there's no other big fights, then, you know, you can look at European titles. But I think John's beyond that. He proved that against Callum Smith. And I want to see him in there with a massive, massive name for a massive title.
Tommy McCarthy, CBS on the Ben Granados undercard. What do you make of it, Darren? It's an interesting matchup, especially on the back of kind of the success both have had recently.
Yeah, I like it. I like the fight. Bit of bad blood that come out of nowhere. This tweet from Chris has upset Tommy. But ultimately, they're two nice blokes. And they're two very good boxers. Another one who's done really well rebuilding. If I'm deadly honest, I thought the Riakporhe fight for Bill and Smith was very, very close. Very close. Could have gone either way, and I wouldn't have grumbled if it went Chris's way. McCarthy, since he won the European title, looks a new fighter. That confidence that he's grown in being that champion, that higher level champion, as taking him on to another level. I guess this is a pick 'em fight. Both men really believe that they can pick 'em. At the presser the other day, I said to Chris, I'm sitting on the fence, and I guess until I really jump into the fight and do my prep and do my research, I'm probably still there. I think Bilham Smith against Ducar, though he was looking at bigger opponents, I think, and had one eye on maybe McCarthy or something else, didn't box that well. And I think at times, I in that fight, I was thinking he could be guilty of being outboxed if he's not switched on, but against McCarthy he would be. So I need to look at it a bit more before I make predictions on that. But I love the fight.
Moving forwards a week, Kid Galahad, Jazza Dickens finally get on for that IBF World Title. What do you make of it, Darren? Obviously, people see Kid as the favourite. He won the first battle between the pair of them, but a lot of people are starting to kind of maybe suggest Jazza, because of the improvements he's made since then, he has a very good chance of winning this.
He has a lot better chance of winning this time than he did the first fight. He's come on another level, similar to Tommy McCarthy. You know, the confidence he's got of late is so obvious, and that shows in his performances. Kid Galahad, he believes he should be world champion already. He believes that he beat Josh Warrington, which was also was another very close fight. It's going to be a cracker. I think it's going to be a very good fight, similar to the first one. But I mean, asking me for a prediction, I would probably just favour Kid Galahad. But you never know in this business, mate. You never know. Jazza Dickens, what a top geezer, top bloke. They're both top lads. Honestly, they're both really nice blokes. And another one I look forward to.
We're going to move forwards into the final show. Josh Buatsi, Ricard Bolotniks. A good little step, a very good fight as well. Yeah, what do you make of it, Darren?
Yeah, I love it. I love Bolotnik's got a mad style, but he can whack. He hits harder than his record suggests. I think he's only got 8 stoppages and about 17 wins or something like that. But we see against Stephen Ward and Serge, was it Michelle?
Yes.
Yeah, that he can whack, and he's a good finisher, and he's a good character. And I think, yeah, I mean, you ain't got to be a rocket science. You've only got to see the two of them to understand that at some point, and I think it'll be quite early, that fight will catch a light. It's just they're both big punchers, so I don't know how long this fight lasts. People have looked at Buatsi and looked at the Kalik fight and thought, oh, there's vulnerabilities there, blah, blah, blah. But I looked at Kalik and I thought, do you know what? When I watched him, he's going to be a nightmare. And I'm not just saying it. I watched him and I thought, he knows how to fight. He fought Alan Babic, I think, 3-4 times, and beat him 3 times in the amateurs. He's a very good fighter. And Buatsi, though, he was hurt. He had the eye injury, etc. He got the job done. And I think there was more positives to take away from that than negatives. Bolotniks, won the golden contract. Great fight. Great main event to finish a brilliant fight camp. I think fight camp's only going to get better as well. There was a lot of TBCs, wasn't there? Because, there's still shows and, to come. There's still quite a few weeks till the last 2 shows. So fight camp will only get better, I think. There's some opponents there that haven't been announced. And, it's only going to get better.
I mean, obviously, Darren, you're on the inside. You're working with Matchroom, former Matchroom fighter as well.
Yeah.
The link up with DAZN, what should people expect from it, and how different will things be compared to when Matchroom were working with Sky?
First off, I say hats off to Sky. It's been an amazing journey, and I'm so pleased that they're still involved in the sport. I was proud to fight on their platform, and what brilliant relationship Sky and Matchroom had with DAZN. I think this is going to be another level from what I'm hearing, from what Eddie's telling me. It's going to be next level shit. It's just going to be, production's going to be out of this world. There's going to be bigger budget to make bigger fights. It's just going to take it to another level. And obviously, it's a lot cheaper. Eddie did say it would rise eventually, but it will be cheaper than you're expecting it to be. Look, ultimately, this is brilliant for boxing. If you're a DAZN subscriber, a boxing fan, you've got more avenues, you've got more platforms to watch boxing. But I think if you're if you're the zone fighter, you're with Matchroom, I think this is going to be incredible. From what I'm hearing, this is going to be unbelievable. Yeah, it's going to be mad. The production, you know, we've seen now. Boxing is a spectacle. Aside from the entertainment what's going on in the ring, those two warriors that are putting their life on the line, there's a whole nother atmosphere. There's the pyrotechnics, the lights, the crowd, the music, and it's going to be taken to another level. And being a fan myself, I'm just buzzing. I'm buzzing. I can't wait to see it.
Just a few other fights whilst I've got you down, I want to get your thoughts on. We haven't had a chance to catch up since the kind of whole Wilder Fury-3 fight came to fruition and AJ Fury was no longer on the table. Just want to get your thoughts on the entire fallout from that scenario. And also this week we've seen a 6-minute face-off between Deontay and Tyson. And during press conference, Deontay Wilder was very kind of quiet, not very engaging with the media. Just your thoughts on his approach this time around as well.
Though I'm upset that the AJ Fury fight's not happening anytime soon, I've got to take my hat off to Deontay Wilder, because if someone said to me, "Here's £20 million, you haven't got to get punched in the fight and train for 12 weeks," I'll be like, "What's the catch?" I just wouldn't believe it. So for him to ignore that shows how ambitious he is and how much he wants to win that world title. Incredible. It's incredible. If I'm honest, the same. I believe the same thing will happen. What happened in the second fight? I think Fury has Deontay Wilder's number. He's just too big for him. But he has that get out of jail card, doesn't he? Wilder. He can whack with both hands. He's vicious. He's spiteful, and he really wants to do a number on Fury. But I just can't see it. I can't see it. Fury's too good for him, too big for him, and he's just got his number. Sometimes you see it with fighters, trilogies and rematches, that you can't. The same thing happens. A fighter just has that number and that opponent's number, and that's it. So look, let's hope that Fury does Wilder again, and we can put that to bed. And then the toughest assignment out of the two is now AJ and Usyk, because though Usyk looks vulnerable, not vulnerable, looked too small, and I think the size has been an issue against Chisora. Wasn't amazing. I think he's still a nightmare, and if he gets it right against AJ, you know, he can cause him all sorts of fucking problems. But I think the size is the issue there, and I do favour AJ. But let's just pray that they both get through their respected opponents, and then we get to that fight. Because I guess with another win over Wilder, which probably isn't a big deal, but if he flattens him in better fashion in the second fight, and then AJ takes care of Usyk, I guess you'd have to say it's a bigger fight, wouldn't you? So fingers crossed.
Mentioned AJ-Usyk there, so we can move on from that and onto another heavyweight fight. Joe Joyce, Carlos Takam was announced yesterday. What do you make of Joe's next fight with Carlos? Obviously, Carlos past opponent of AJ's.
Yeah, good fight. You could put Takam in a gatekeeper style of opponent, I guess. You know, in that sort of bracket. He's an handful. He fights at a similar pace to what Joyce does, and it's relentless. You know, they keep coming forward and they keep throwing bombs. But I think Joyce gets the better of him there. Joyce is deceivingly very good, isn't he? Is that the word? Deceivingly? Yeah. He doesn't, like, I wouldn't say he looks $1 million. I'm looking and say, wow, you're incredible. But you don't win silver medals in the Olympics and you're unbeaten as a pro if you're no good. He does what he does really, really well. He's got a good chin. He can whack. He's physically so strong, always on the front foot. And he's athletic. You see afterwards, he does him nutty, whatever it is, cartwheels and that. It's a good fight. It's one that I think, yeah, stylistically, you look at it and you think, blimey, that they're going to gel early on. Takam will be looking for that overhand right. He's looking for bombs. He'll be throwing shots non-stop, as will Joe Joyce. But I think Joyce will wear him down. I think Joyce will wear down a lot of opponents. He's just an animal. He's an absolute animal. He really is a juggernaut.
Moving forwards once again, just a couple more to get your thoughts on Darren. Something which was announced a few weeks ago, but caught everybody by surprise. Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence Jr. What are your thoughts? Is this one step too far for Manny, or?
Fat nose. You'd be mad to rule him out, wouldn't you? You'd be mad to rule him out. You know, well, where do you start? Furman, etc. Like, where do you start with Pacquiao? The man's unbelievable. I know he gets a lot of stick about, Mexican meat or whatever you want to call it, but until he gets found guilty, and I don't know if he ever has, I'm not too sure, but whatever. But it's incredible. It's incredible. What a legend. He's a legend. It's unreal. I think Spence is on another, not on another level to Pacquiao, absolutely not. That's the wrong words there. But he's the younger, fresher, and he's a very good fighter. But you just can't rule Pacquiao out. It's just, yes, it's incredible. I'm just in awe of Pacquiao. I'm in awe of what he's been able to achieve. Though it's kind of remarkable. It's kind of unbelievable that he's been able to do what he's done. Was it 8-weight world champion? I mean, it's mental. It's mental. So yeah, I think Spence will be too big, too strong, too slick. You just never know. You never know with Pacquiao. You just don't know. The geezer's going to fight and probably win world titles until he's about 60. Honestly, like madness. Well, yeah, what ledge.
Final one, just to get your thoughts on Darren, because I know you're a big fan of theirs. Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather. I'm sure you was up at 4.
By the way, I've just picked up a pink brush there. It was on the side. I didn't want to, like that. That looks weird, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? You just see that go across the laptop. Go on.
Yeah, mate. Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather. What did you make of it?
It's a load of bollocks, wasn't it? Load of bollocks. I don't blame either. How can you blame either? Logan Paul's got to get in the ring, and what an experience! Aside from the fact that he's earned a few mil, he's got to get in the ring with one of the best fighters of all time. I mean, how great is that for Logan Paul? And if you're Floyd Mayweather, he's paid his dues, he's done his bits. Why not just do these mad exhibitions? WWE's huge. It's entertainment. This fight, I don't think, and the fact that people are so pissed off that it happened, I don't think that will travel through time. But Floyd Mayweather's legacy will. His career will be remembered as an amazing one. And I think people will start to forget all of these silly things that he'd done. In 100 years' time, people are just going to know of all the great fighters that Floyd Mayweather beat. They're not going to remember the fact that he had a little move around with Conor McGregor and Logan Paul, etc. I think his legacy is secure. He may be getting stick now, but I think in time, where legacy really counts, I think he's safe as houses. And I don't blame him. Would I do it? Probably, yeah. I mean, I'll fight Jake or Logan Paul now. People say, oh, yeah, of course you do. Why not? I can't be asked to train at the minute. I don't put on any weights. I can't be bothered to train. That would make me get fit. But I just don't blame him. I don't blame Mayweather. But it wasn't.
You might see Darren Barker versus one of Jake Paul or Logan Paul.
No, it won't happen. Why would anyone? They wouldn't fight me, because when you've got guns like this, you just don't want to be messing with DAZN Darren Barker. My wife's looking at me going,
all right, Darren, I'm going to leave you now to enjoy the rest of your day. It's a busy one. I've got the England game later on. So
I'll 2 hours, mate. I'll be there. Be done the East Barnet Old Grammarians, E-Bogs FC, 6 o'clock this evening. I don't know when this is going to go out, so you probably miss it. But come on, England. Yeah.